Howdy gang, how y'all doing? Gonna play through some The Operative, known as forever. Utterly fantastic game. Still Monolith's best, if you would ask me. And by the way, thank you for asking. Let's jump into it and see what we can. We're running in 4x3 because, blimey knows, it looks god-awful in stretched out widescreen. There's not really a good solution for it. That's what you get for staring at the Scooby-Doo van. Smells like murder. So what had Monolith done up to this point? Very little. They bought the rights and what development work had been done on Blood from 3D Realms and finished it up and released it. And Blood was, let's be honest, pretty terrific as far as a horror derivative of Duke Nukem goes. And we had their own engine come along and they ditched Build and came along with Shogo. Shogo was sort of miserable, but ambitious for the dual mech and first-person sequence. Bang, bang, bang. Then we had Nulf, which I still think is, you know, the best thing they've done. Originally considered as a quick spiritual sequel follow-up to Shogo, obviously Austin Powers and the need for something a bit more by the numbers. There's a terrific Gama Sutra article by Craig Hubbard, the lead designer of Nulf, where he talks about Nulf a little bit. And Nulf for Monolith was very much a reaction to Half-Life. The idea that presentation counts, you know? We won't stick around for all of the Bonzian credits, I guess we want to say. We need the chorus, at least, of the song. After this, they rolled directly into No One Lives Forever 2, which I don't think quite captured the magic quite as well. It felt off. Forever. And then what do we have? We had Sanity, Aiken's Artifact, sort of a top-down action game, getting away from the first-person shooter. No one really cared for it. Anyway,
Damn.
And then, I guess, Fear. I think I'm forgetting something along the line, but
Bruno, how's
we're pretty
France?
close.
Did you collect any new bullet holes? I know how you love to be shot at. I'm teasing. I'm glad you're not damaged. Did you at least encounter an exotic temptress or two? Really? What was her name? What do you mean you don't remember? That's horrible. Of course, I'm famished. Are you buying? Then it's a date. Let's say Maximilian's in half an hour. Ciao. I'm not very happy, you know. It's not like I thought it would be.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over the dress.
Your former trade, only that it would keep you out of jail and make it easier to sleep at night.
More wine?
Ugh.
You're the first female operative Unity has ever employed. The committee is old-fashioned. They need time to get used to the idea of a woman in this line of work.
I know all that. But at this rate, I'll be a bloody grandmother before they give me a real assignment.
You can always go back to burglary and pickpocketing if you can't live without excitement.
damn it, that's not what I'm saying. I just want to be challenged. I'm sick of wiretaps. I'm sick of eavesdropping on boring strangers who may or may not pose some trivial threat to international security because they forgot to declare a ham sandwich at Heathrow. I don't have the patience for it. It's not what I'm good at.
It's never fun paying one's dues, but we all have to endure a bit of frustration and tedium now and then. Builds character.
I think I've paid my bloody dues.
The man makes a compelling
Is that what
case
you
for
think?
the turtleneck.
God knows I loathe sermons, but I'll tell you right now that you'll never stop paying your dues. Not ever. I'm sorry you're not happy, but you might as well get used to it. Nobody owes you a damn thing.
You make it sound like I'm some spoiled child. I'm not asking to be coddled. I just want a chance to prove myself.
You're right. I know it's been hard for you, but I'm confident you'll get your chance. All the petty politics in the world won't hold you back.
They've done an outstanding job so far, haven't they?
You see? What did I tell you?
Probably just one of the committee members needing a babysitter on short notice.
Ye of little faith, I'll see you there.
Why don't we go together?
I've an errand to attend to first. You go on ahead.
Fight the power. Ladies fighting against the glass ceiling,
Good
eh?
afternoon, Miss Archer. They're expecting you in the briefing room.
Also the voice of Kid Harris, but we put an accent on it, so you'd never know. Government employees. The old cliche. So, who wants more info dump, huh?
Agent Archer, how thoughtful of you to join us. I hope we aren't inconveniencing you too awfully with matters of international security.
Ignore the man with the raised eyebrow. He had a stroke. He's very sensitive about it.
I'm sorry if I kept you waiting. It won't happen again.
I seem to recall hearing that before.
You'll not have to hear it again.
Let us hope not. Well, if it isn't the inimitable Agent Lowry.
Sorry I'm late, Smithy. You're looking dapper today.
Spare me the disingenuous flattery, old boy. It doesn't suit you.
I was being sincere. It was the one polite thing I could think to say.
You're still upset with me, aren't you? I assure you, I have nothing against you personally. You've served us well for many years, but perhaps too many. I firmly believe it is in Unity's best interest.
Well,
you
domination
retire from
prevention
field
map.
operations, and I will continue to campaign to that end until you accept an administrative position.
I'm not upset with you, Smithy. I just don't like you. I do understand your concern, but just because you're too old for the field doesn't mean that I am. Until I'm declared unfit for duty, I will continue to prove it.
I retired voluntarily.
Of course you did.
Perhaps we should dispense with the pleasantries.
He's saying
and
go
get down
fuck
to brass
yourself with his
tacks.
eyes.
Fine.
Lights, please. We lost another agent this
No
afternoon,
one's
bringing
got
the total
lights.
to 7 operatives in 10 days. It is our firm belief that someone is systematically eliminating our undercover agents, which leads us to believe that the clandestine operations section has been compromised. It seems we have a traitor in our midst.
Do you suspect anyone?
We suspect everyone.
7 operatives. That's over half the active list. Why weren't we informed sooner?
You're being informed now. This situation has unfolded rather abruptly.
The assassin left a lily, a regal finale to be precise, on or near the corpse of each victim. Mean anything to either of you?
Volkov.
Flowers.
Who?
Dmitry Volkov. The regal finale is his calling card.
The name's familiar. What do we know about him?
He's a right bastard.
Anything more specific?
Just what's in his file. Born in Kamchatka in 1921. Distinguished himself as an academic prodigy and master chess player by the age of 8, by which time he'd also earned notoriety for refining various torture techniques on neighbors' pets. It seems he joined the NKVD in 1937 and served as some sort of disciplinarian in a gulag near Kiev. His whereabouts during the war are unknown except for a brief mention in 1943 when he was spotted by an OSS officer at Leningrad interrogating prisoners of war who would later disappear without a trace.
Ah, yes. I remember this fellow. We've had dealings with him before.
Sometime after the war, he emerged again, this time in the employ of Smersh. He's personally credited with well over 1,000 executions, spies and Soviet dissidents for the most part. In 1961, a failed assassination attempt left him without an eye. He was shot in the face at close range by one of our finest agents.
You flatter me, but I shouldn't have missed.
He escaped by throwing himself off a 70-foot cliff into an icy river. It was presumed that he survived, as no body was ever recovered. In fact, rumor has it, he's currently working for an organization calling itself HARM as Director of Executive Action. I don't have to tell you what that means.
What do we know about HARM?
Unfortunately, there's very little about them in our files.
Well, despite the obvious risks, we still have a job to do. In this case, a very important one.
Wet work.
Precisely. And after this recent catastrophe, the two of you are our only available assets.
To be perfectly frank, Agent Archer, you're only getting this assignment because we've no other choice. Matters of such delicacy aren't really the sort of thing we would usually entrust to a woman. Emotional inconstancy and assassination do not make especially good bedfellows, if you take my meaning.
He basically just said women don't make good bedfellows. I don't need to remind you of the subtext there.
I'll try to surpass your expectations.
Dick.
Considering that I expect you to fail miserably, you shouldn't have to try very hard.
Enough of this. Time is of the essence. Stop by the toy shop before you go. They've some new gizmos you might find useful. Don't dally too long, though. Your flight leaves at 6 p.m.
Where are we going?
Listen to the talking egg.
Morocco. Agent Archer, what does HARM stand for?
I haven't figured that out yet.
See if you can't find out. And be careful.
We need this line of dialogue because we couldn't be bothered to animate a shrug. Jones. Smith. If that is their real names. What do we got here? Most elaborate PowerPoint slide. The Chief. Chief Smith. Smith. That is so hard to make out. Something coordinator. I guess we'll never know. You there, observe. Well done. Yes, so what is there to say about Nulf? It's terrific. It's hilarious, it's fast-paced and goofy and sultry and sexy and cool. Well underappreciated, and well forgotten too. If any game needs a solid reboot, if there's anything I'd like to see out of Monolith. And no, it's not goddamn Fear 4, it's really not.
We strongly advise that you go through the training course before embarking on your first mission.
Okay.
There are many nuances and features you may overlook otherwise.
Right.
If you prefer to skip training, just head to the exit.
We have calendars of tanks. Now, normally I would understand and listen to his advice, but I don't entirely trust anyone who would speak in a deep, sort of rugby-playing accent, but would use the word nuance.
If you want to skip training, I won't stop you, but don't expect
I will
any sympathy
cower.
from me if you run into trouble out there.
Okay, it's obviously Office Stationery. They all have the tank calendar. Anyway, so that's basically part one. Our info dump invitational. Next up, Morocco.